4 stages of business, part 3, top priorities and top challenges. Check it out. Great to have you back on the Wholesaling Business Blueprint series. Now, let's keep talking about the 4 stages of business. We are on stage 3. This really sets the tone for the automation and the delegation of your business. This is really where the business mentality is going to make a difference, right? So we started building on stage 1, and then we kind of grew and fine-tuned a little bit of the stuff and the challenges that came along and during stage 2. Now, stage 3, you're doing anywhere from 11 to 15 deals a month. If you're doing 11 to 15 deals a month, you're a level 3 company, okay? What that means is that your business is growing, your challenges might be getting a little bigger, and your team is also growing. So there's different things to expect. There's different things to prepare for as a level 3 company. Now, the tone of this whole stage is gonna be the automation and the delegation. All right, so like I said, this is where the business mentality really comes in handy. We've been building, we've been creating, kind of fine-tuning over stage 1 and stage 2. At stage 3, it's really where the rubber meets the road in terms of automation and delegation. This is where leadership, is really gonna dictate what happens over the course of the next several months. So let's break it down. So at a level 3 company, you're doing anywhere from 11 to 15 deals a month on average. And again, your priorities change. Number 1 priority here, the number 1 priority is gonna be people, okay? You're gonna have to put special emphasis and special focus on your people. Number 2 is gonna be profits, all right? Number 3 is gonna be process. So we have the same 3 priorities, they just switch orders, right? At a level 2, the number 1 priority was profits, right? But if we're 11 to 15 deals a month, profits can come in secondary because now we can come in and fine tune the skill set of the team. Now we can come in and then look for that top quality talent because now we know what we're looking for. We didn't know what we were looking for at a level 1, all right? Now at a level 3, we do know what we're looking for. We know what the processes, look like overall. And we know what to expect from people because they already started performing at a level 2. And 11 to 15, you start growing and really like putting this whole machine together, right? Like all the parts start coming together and glued on into this, this one thing, this one operation. So now we're at that stage. People are your top priority. So we're attracting top talent here. This is what we're looking for. Your top closers, top dispositions managers, top lead managers, top cold callers, and you want that really high quality and vested interest type of people to be part of your team. Why? Because when they're vested, you don't have to handle all the headaches. You're delegating, okay? So at the level 3, we're automating as much as we can, and then we're delegating the rest so we can level up, all right? Now, the second priority, it's gonna be the profits. We still have our eye on the price, all right? Profits. We're not dropping the amount of deals. We don't wanna go back to a level 2 company. We're at level 3. We're generating an average of 11 to 15 deals a month. And that's important, right? You gotta keep that up, especially if you're plugging people into your process, if you're plugging people into your company. Now you bring in additional heads in, that means overhead, it means payroll, it means, better systems, it means more data, it means, just congruency altogether, right? So you don't wanna go back to doing less deals, we gotta keep our eye on the price. And then the third priority is gonna be the process, all right? And it went down to third priority because we have a pretty decent idea of what the process is, right? Now we're doing 10 to 15 deals a month. We feel like we might know this thing like the back of our hands, right? The reality is different though. When you're trying to teach somebody and train somebody else to come in and then do your job, a lot of questions come in. There's a lot of questions that perhaps you haven't asked yourself in terms of clarity, in terms of conveying the message and making the information understandable for your team, all right? So the process is really gonna be fine-tuned. That's what happens here. That's why it's a third priority. It's still a priority, top 3, and it's fine-tuning your processes, okay? So what can you do to improve the cold calling process? What can you do to get more leads converted? What's happening there? Can you fine-tune your scripts? Can you look or find any little gaps in between the stages as you're going through your business model? And what can you do to do more with less? At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. So the process, it's still a priority. but we're fine-tuning now. We're not really building from scratch like we did at a level 1. All right, now we have certain protocols written down, we have training materials, we have videos and stuff that we've instructed when we were level 2, and we're fine-tuning that process. We're finding better partnerships in terms of title and escrow companies, and just growing our network, right? As we do that, our processes improve. So your top 3 priorities switch from people to profit and process. All right, now, what about the challenges? All right, we are doing 11 to 15 deals a month. What about the challenges? Your revenue is gonna be different, right? So your level of activity is gonna be different. You're doing a lot more now. You cannot oversee everybody like you used to when you were a level 1 company. All right, now you have more people in place, you have more deals, you have more transactions going on, you have more escrow companies, you have more paperwork out there. You can't oversee everything. All right, so your challenges are gonna change. The top challenge, the number 1 challenge that you're gonna see during a level 3 stage, it's gonna be buy-in. We worked on hiring talent on stage 2, right? At stage 3, they're used to doing things a certain way. So what you want from that team is gonna be buy-in, a sense of ownership over their responsibilities. That comes with leadership, the right leadership. So team buy-in is gonna be huge. Why? Because if they take extreme ownership of what they're supposed to do, their responsibilities, their tasks, and ultimately, like anything that they're responsible for, your headaches are gonna be a lot lower on your side. You don't have to micromanage. You can trust your team. So getting to that point where you trust your team is gonna be one of the most important things at a level 3, okay? It's a challenge because people are used to doing things a certain way. They started doing things without maybe a systematic approach when they were level 1, if they've been with you for that long, right? At level 2, you were kind of fine-tuning and then building the systems, and then just kind of putting pieces together and then gluing it all and making this machine. At a level 3 now, you're trying to fine-tune. You're trying to get the most out of this money-making machine that you're building, right? So inevitably, there's gonna be some changes done in terms of how you do things. One thing that I hear all the time is management, okay? There comes a point where you have to plug in managers. When you plug in managers, there can be a level of friction. If the person that was promoted used to be a part of like the cold calling team or the lead management team or something, now they have to report to that person, right? So it's that kind of buy-in that you need to get within your team, right? It starts with leadership, but at the end of the day, it's a collective effort. So it takes the whole team to do that. Find out what they want at a personal level, become the vehicle for that, make them important within your business. People want to matter, all right? As a good leader, you highlight that, you work with that, you bring them significance. Why? Because what you're doing has an impact. So help them see the impact that they're making in the world, all right? Second challenge is gonna be a team gap, okay? There might be miscommunication or disconnect, or just like I said, friction between team members when you start hiring, especially when you start plugging in managers, all right? People who are not used to reporting to somebody now have to, because it's just the way things work now at a level 3, right? You gotta have a little bit more structure. You gotta have a little bit more accountability. So managing or mitigating that gap between the team and then the leadership, that's also gonna be one of the challenges. Challenge number 3. Weak profit design. I know we worked on improving the process when we were level 2, right? We created a process, level 1, we improved the process at level 2, but now your design might be might be weaker. Why? Because we've been doing things the same way. Maybe we added a couple of tools or structures or strategies on how to close deals, maybe negotiate and whatnot, but more than likely, operating with this big overhead, especially when it comes to payroll and commissions and marketing and keeping this whole thing running, there's gonna be opportunities for improvement when it comes to profit design, all right? What else can you do within your business that's gonna allow you to tap into more revenue? Can you add any new deal structures to your toolbox? Can you train people better on the closing side, on the lead management side, on the conversion side? All of those are improvements on profit design, all right? So what can you do so you can capitalize or tap into more sources of revenue? The sky's the limit here. You can get super, super creative. We have people here in town who have their hands in title companies. So now they're making money off of the deal. They're making money as an affiliate also on the back end through some ownership stock on title companies and stuff like that. So what can you do to improve your profit design? Because I guarantee you at a level 3, there's a lot of room for improvement there. So you more than likely have a weak profit design. Find out the weak links within that design and ramp it up. Challenge number 4, and this kind of takes me back to the whole team thing I was talking about earlier, right? But your core values, more than likely, they're going to be unclear. Usually, this is something repetitive. We see it all the time. Level 1, you don't necessarily care much for core values. All they are is just a nice poster on the wall. At a level 2, they start making sense a little bit, but the tendency to collect 10 or 15 core values, because that's how we do things, after a weekend seminar of personal or business growth that we went to, that happens quite often. But they can be unclear. The more you have on there for people to look at, to memorize, to have to go back and refer to, the more confusing things are gonna be. So at a level 3, the clarity of your core values really starts making an impact, okay? This is when you can't go one by one and then just pulling, people aside and telling them, listen, we don't do things like that here. That's what you have the core values for. That's what they do, right? If people buy into those core values, and whatever your company's core values, I have 3 in mind. Number 1 is radical transparency. Number 2 is extreme ownership. Number 3 is people over profits. Everybody in my team knows the core values that we operate under. So those are decision-making guidelines for us, all right? My acquisitions people know that we have radical transparency, that we have extreme ownership for what's happening within the deals, and that we have people over profits. So do my dispo, so do my lead managers and cold callers. Everybody knows that, right? It's just the way that we do things. When you have clarity in the core values, and they're easily conveyed, easily understandable, it's like the voice of your company, okay? It's important when you have a bunch of people to manage. If people don't understand the core values, they're gonna do things their way. They're gonna do things, whatever they deem appropriate is gonna happen. Why? Because there's no guidelines in place. There's no set behaviors or principles to abide by when making a decision, right? So at a stage 3, your core values might be unclear. Go back and revisit them. If you put them together during 1 or 2, go back and revisit, really pull out or draw out the stuff that makes sense and bring them to the front of every single meeting that you have, bring them to the front of every single piece of training that you have. We begin our videos with a statement. These are our core values: radical transparency, extreme ownership, and people over profits. Simple as that, all right? Everybody knows that's the way we do business. And you really start to spread that message amongst your team. Now people buy into it and they know what's expected. They know what's within the guidelines, and really starts to create that cohesive culture, which takes me to challenge number 5. Resistance to change. Again, you are building a culture in your business whether you realize it or not. It doesn't matter if you're 1 person, 2 people, it doesn't matter. You're building a certain way of doing things, okay? You're creating this environment, this vibe. So whether or not your people jive with the company, it's really a matter of culture. Now, you've been used to doing things from a level 1, right? 0 to 3 deals, and then you went to a level 2 and you did things a different way. Now, the culture might have shifted a little bit. But when you're really trying to set things in stone in terms of where your cultural direction needs to go, people can be resistant, okay? People are already used to doing something one way. You already taught them how to do things, at an early stage on a level 2. Now you're saying to do it in a different way, or now we have to report to this. Now we got to, bring up new KPIs because it's some type of metric that's going to be accountable for who the heck knows what. There's going to be resistance. Anytime you try to introduce an improvement or a change within any company, there's going to be pushback, especially if there's already a team in place, and more so if you're plugging more people into the team, right? So keep that in mind. Cultural resistance is going to be part of it. That's where your whole leadership thing comes in, right? That's where your skill set as a leader comes in. Your social awareness, your understanding about what your team wants at an individual level, right? That's where your buy-in as a leader is really tested at a stage 3. So I'm seeing a pattern here, but leadership is really going to be a big part of that 11 to 15 deal. You're not not necessarily doing deals and negotiating stuff out there because you have a team in place for that. Now it's grown. Your responsibilities as an owner, as a leader, are going to shift. Even if you want to keep doing the calling or the acquisitions and all that stuff, that's totally fine. However, just understand that if you have people under your belt and you're at this level, a different version of you is going to be demanded, right? A different version of you is going to need to show up for your people on a daily basis. You're going to be more of a coach, a mentor, and definitely breaking into that leadership stage where you have to branch out and maybe do stuff that you're uncomfortable with. All right, so keep that in mind. That's stage 3 of the 4 stages of business. Subscribe, like, share, stay focused. You got this. Let's go.